Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to uh, good versus bad bases. I'll be going over like seven-ish bases, and it's like from level 1 to level 10 in base building, kind of. So I'll show you what kind of bases you want to avoid and what kind of bases you should be building. Let's just hop right into it. So the number one base here is, I guess these are just like ultimate Bob bases. These are people that have just got on the game and they don't really know what they're doing. They build a thatch base, PvE, but they're on a PvP server, kind of, in the middle of nowhere where it's gonna just be eaten by some dude on a wyvern or a mana garmer, and they'll only last about a night before they're wiped. There's not much to say about this base. Just don't build these. Avoid these. If you see one, wipe it. People need to learn the hard way. This is not a good base for PvP. Alright, so the second worst kind of base is the gigantic stone base that takes up like an entire section of the map, and it's also in the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by dino gates. Usually maybe has some plant X, but just another PvE base. Has windows and whatnot, things like that, maybe even spikes. When I see these bases, they don't usually look like this. They look like so yeah, definitely do not build these kinds of bases because this is generally what they end up looking like. Alright, moving on to the next base, we have the metal base with 0 defenses. So usually you'll find something like spikes on top, and it's a full metal big base. Again, random location, and it's a 3x3 with spikes on it. And these are subject to Arthropleura and C4 raids, and it's pretty much just free loot. Anytime anyone sees a metal 3x3, 2x2 with 0 defenses, it's just free loot. You're getting raided. These usually don't last over a day because they're usually slapped in a random spot and they get found and wiped. Alright, so moving on to the next base. This is the kind of base I was building when I had like 50 hours in the game, and it is, it's still, you got the fully walled off part, but you do have some turrets, and each turret generally has like 12 ARB in it, and again, it's in a random spot. You got the spikes, and you'll have your dinos chilling around here. You still have storage boxes for loot. You don't have vaults, you don't have a chem bench. I'm still rocking mortar and pestles, and these generally last 3 days ish until the alpha finds them and wipes them in 2 minutes, or griefers find it. So definitely do not build like these. All 4 of these bases, do not build like any of these. If you're rocking one of these bases as we speak, move out, because this is not what you want. I will quickly show you some good beginner bases, like medium tier bases, so that you know like kind of where to start. So the first one is, if you come around here, you're looking around, right? You don't see anything, you pass by, but there's actually a base in this little corner right here, and something like this is a great starter base, because I know this, you just slap it, indie forge, whatever, but this is great for mid game, just as like a temporary base, because it's super hidden. We lasted here for over a week, and then we moved out, and it stayed there until someone finally discovered it like 2 weeks later. And it obviously doesn't have a whole lot of defenses. Like, you don't even need heavies. You can have autos, but if you're gonna have autos, you're gonna need a hidden base spot. You can't like fully defend a base with autos. So I recommend just finding like a random spot. Any marked out rat holes are also good spots, but usually those aren't super hidden because everyone knows about them. So this is like a great spot, just like a random little crevice. And I'm gonna go over another kind of mid-tier base, and then I'll show you kind of like what an alpha base looks like, and how you want to eventually work your bases up to looking. Alright, so this is a very good spot on Crystal Isles. Also, I know that I've picked Crystal Isles, and it's not a great map for your main base, generally because none of the spots are all that good. Especially like Dragon Cave, it's a horrible cave. Everyone gets wiped out of that. But I just decided to do Crystal Isles just to give myself kind of a challenge and build in these terrible spots. So anyways, this next rat hole is actually not that bad. And this is kind of like what a mid-tier base would look like. It still doesn't have any tech turrets, but it has a good amount of heavies and maybe even some autos still left over that haven't been turned into heavies. And it's gonna have just like a decent build, small wall, and then you have this space, and they might have like some older lines and stuff like that. But this is a pretty hard base to raid, because the only way to do it is with a Quetzal. And if you watched my Quetzal video, you'll know exactly how to counter the Quetzal raid. So this is a pretty decent base spot too, because if you don't know about this spot, you're just gonna pass by like it's nothing. You know, there's no way to see it unless you know what you're looking for. And even if you do look up here, you still can't see it until you finally go all the way up, and now you can see it. So this is a very good base spot. It does have this second entrance right up here, so I'd be careful about that. It does have an entrance right here. Well, we built here for like a week, and we didn't even know about this until some guy threw a turtle down it, and then we finally found out about it. But I just recommend spamming up here, putting some turrets. Just put like 1 or 2 turrets up here, and then if you hear them shoot, then you can start moving over more, just to give you kind of like an alert. But yeah, this is a decent. Now I know what you're thinking. Alpha Swamp platform is a horrible base spot, and honestly, it's not that bad if you like PvP. If you really like PvP, because we would be hit with like 8 griefers a day, and we didn't even have to craft flak because it was just like free flak. But the cool thing about it is that there are no spots in render that you can place a fob. So if they place a fob, it'll be out of render anywhere they put it, unless it's like under you, I guess. But who wants to put a fob like right here? This is just useless. So that's why it's such a good spot. And also, it's it's a good base spot. So this is the difference between an alpha base spot and a noob base spot, is that it's going to be floating. It's going to be hard to get at. You have to use a Quetzal base raid technique, but you have these aggro reapers that are overweight. They're going to be shooting at the Quetzals. You have the velos on the staircases. You have the randomly placed turrets all around the base. You have the full vault dropped base, and you have all this spam. You have 2 skynets, so people can't owl bomb it. I usually put a teleporter on here, but I wasn't able to get it on there for some reason. But I spent a lot of time building this base, especially because I'm a solo player, not in a server that doesn't even matter, because it's single player. So I hope that you like this video and subscribe, because this took a lot of time to make. But basically, it's got max turret count, so I think I fit like 117 turrets on here, both tech and auto combined. It's got just like a bunch of spam, bear traps, stuff like that. This is the kind of base that when you see it, you're like, let's steer clear of that, So all these reapers, and this whole, don't mind this, I kind of was going for like a more ocean pillar Genesis base build, and this random penis looking thing that sticks out, just pretend that doesn't exist. Just look at this. This is what you want to go for, okay? This is a base that if you are online, it is almost impossible to raid, at least on small tribes. If you're on official, I don't know, you might get cucked, but if you're on small tribes and you're online, this base is super easy to defend. Anyways, guys, those are the kind of levels of bases. We had like the low tier, the mid tier, and this is the alpha tier. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. All these builds are unofficial. None of these had no clip building in it. And if you want to know how to build these bases, maybe like a tutorial, let me know, because I'll show you how to build each base. Anyways guys, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.